everybody, and welcome back to the Leeds Lens. Boy, am I excited for this one. I'm always excited for the match previews, in truth, because it always means you're close to the end of the week, which means closer to the football at the weekend. And of course, Leeds United do take on Bournemouth this weekend in a game that, yes, Bournemouth on paper look really hard. Farke mentions in his press conference that had Bournemouth won against Liverpool on that first day, which obviously they were very close to doing. They lost 4-2, and later on the end of the game, Liverpool scored 2 goals to win it, and had Bournemouth won that game, they would currently be sat top of the league. So yes, this is a difficult game, but this is what we're in the Premier League for 4 difficult games. And actually, to be honest, I do think this is a game Leeds United can get points in, and we had some major breaking news today as well. In Daniel Farke's press conference, Jayden Bogle back fit for this one, which is a fantastic plus. I think he's been one of our best players, definitely in our top 5 players this season. So to have him back for this game and not missing, it looked like it was just a bruise, it's just fantastic. And then Dan James as well, positive news there. He looks like he's going to be back for this one as well. Massive. Yes, it looks like it's probably going to be a bench appearance. I do think Aronson will start. We'll talk about that later as well. We're also going to talk a bit about Bournemouth and how they're setting up and where we're going with that. Naturally as well, I want you guys to get involved with this. This is why we did these live. It's so you guys can leave your comments. Let me know where you think on Bournemouth. Is this a game we can target for points? To be honest, it should be a game we target for points in truth, shouldn't it? Because Bournemouth are not going to be in the top 6, in my opinion, this year. I know they are right now, but I don't think they're going to end in the top 6. So they're probably going to finish, for me, bottom 12 teams. And if you're playing one of the bottom 12 teams at home, you've got to try pick up. This has got to be a game you've got to try and get points in. Obviously, Leeds United are in an advantageous position. 2 wins on the board now and a draw in our first 5. So it's not like critical stations. Like if you'd have lost against Wolves, I think this game would have been amplified to a new level. I don't think we need to go that extreme. But I do think this is a game, as I said, that's going to be tricky for Leeds United. But definitely a game we've got to target points in my opinion, for sure. And as I said, this is a team in Bournemouth, in my opinion, that yes, they are tricky and they are a good side, but they are beatable. I mean, if you take a look back to last year, which is what I did, they lost to Ipswich, they lost to Leicester, they lost to Wolves, they lost to Brentford twice that last year. So if these teams can beat, Bournemouth, there is no reason why Leeds United can't get something from this game. We know obviously Bournemouth have lost massive amounts of players this summer. Zabani, Kirkes, I mean, Kepper in goal, Howson as well, the other centre-back. They basically lost the whole defence, as we know. Now, obviously, Bournemouth recruit well, and they brought good players in. Truffert at left-back looks good. But, as I said, this is a game I think Leeds United can get something from, which is why I'm excited, because if we do get something from this game, man, it propels us up this league massively. I mean, if we win this game and get to 10 points after our first 6, we are in just an absolutely fantastic position. But yeah, let's start by talking a bit about Bournemouth, though, shall we? And sort of where Bournemouth's strengths are. Bournemouth's strengths are the physicality and the way they press. They are the best things. And also that naturally contributes to them scoring a lot of goals. And it also contributes to them not conceding many goals, because they are one of the best defences in the league. I think the 3rd currently for defence, and they've 2nd most clean sheets in the league as well. So we're not, as I said, we're not going against anyone too poor this week. It's not like Wolves, where I think they might give us a few goals. I don't think that's going to be the case with Bournemouth. They are a good side. Jack says, evening, Scott. Evening to you, Jack. But yeah, they are a good side, Bournemouth, and as I said, they have got a lot to offer, in my opinion. The way you've got to look at Bournemouth, though, is, as I said, they're the most physical team in the league. They run the most in the league. They were the highest running team in the league last year. They're up there again this year to be the highest running team in the league as well. The press is unbelievable. Their amount of ball back in the final third recoveries is off the scale. No one else really compares to it. It's the press. The press is unbelievable. And Leeds United have to play smartly to avoid being done by the press. They're also a good defence, but they're a good defence because they press from the front, they win the ball back up high, and it never ever gets near their goal, because naturally they're just constantly recycling the ball. People have got this perception, by the way, about Bournemouth, that they're like this really good passing side. They're not. They actually go long a lot of times. They don't mind a channel ball. That's part of their ethos. They're not a high possession side. In fact, they actually average 48.2% possession. So they're not a dominant. That's not their style. It's not a dominant possession style. It's a really physical, powerful pressing system. That is what they do. Their press for me is the best in the whole division. Genuinely, I think it's that good. So we've got to find ways to sort of counteract that, in my opinion. And we're going to get on to how we're going to do that in a moment. But I just want to talk a bit more about Bournemouth. What else have I got in Bournemouth? Yeah, they also concede the most yellow cards. I don't think that's that relevant. We've got some comments coming in. We can do it tomorrow, 100%. Ampadu versus Adams could be feisty. We all know the cap. We all know the cap is fairness for breaking legs in 2. Thought I'm not fully sure what you mean by the end of it. But I agree. We can do it tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I don't think we can do it tomorrow because we obviously play on Saturday. But I know what you mean. Their press is unbelievable. I think the squad is suited to that, though. As we're going to have to go along to DCL. Not a bad player to have in that situation. Yeah, that's a really good point, and I think we're going to get onto that. You've sort of skipped the gun there a bit, Jack. But let's move on to sort of how Leeds United can beat this Bournemouth team. Anyway, I think that's what everyone's sort of here for. And Jack's right. The way Leeds United beat this Bournemouth team is by going long. We cannot. If I give Daniel Farke one bit of advice this game, do not get them playing out from the back and trying to play through the thirds like we saw against Arsenal, because it will end potentially even worse than Arsenal. These lads are unbelievable at press. One of their main ways that they create chances actually isn't a lot of the time from actually doing unbelievable scintillating football and passing through the lines and all that. It's from winning the ball high up and going straight at the back four. And we see Semenyo profit of this. We get Seven Nielsen profit off this. We see Tavernier. Their whole front line profits off the press that they offer. We cannot try play through the lines. The way to beat Bournemouth is not to let them have their biggest strength is the press. You've got to not let them play into their, and by playing out from the back, you play into their biggest strength. We cannot do that. If we start sort of spreading the back two, playing out from the back from goal kicks, I will be looking at it thinking, what are we doing? We are helping them out. We are playing into their trap. Do not do it. Go over the top. Go into the big man, go along to Calvert-Lewin. We've seen he's been able to hold up in the last few weeks, and that's what he can do. And he can offer us to be able to hold the ball up and bring others into play. And if we go along and play Calvert-Lewin and win fouls and get the ball bouncing off Calvert-Lewin into our midfield and out wide, we can hurt this Bournemouth team. But as I said, what we cannot do is we cannot go play through the lines. That is the worst play ever. Make it scrappy. Make this game as scrappy as possible. Yes, Bournemouth like it scrappy, but what they don't like is they want teams. They want Southampton last year on Russell Martin. That is what they want. They want someone to go, oh, we're going to try tiki-taka our way through the thirds. If you do that, you're knackered. You can't do it. And people can go, oh, yeah, but we've got this player, we've got that player. These lads do it to everybody. They just went to Spurs a few weeks ago, and Spurs tried to play through the lines against them. It didn't work. You have got to go along against them. Honestly, they're that good at pressing. They're the best. I know that they're not like, they won't finish in the top four. They won't finish in the top six. They are the best pressing team in the league. I can assure you of that. And people who go into Ellen Road on Saturday, you will see that they're the best pressing team in the league. And even people watching on the telly, if you can do, obviously it's at 3 o'clock, so I would imagine you won't be able to do that. But if you do watch the game, you'll see that their press is just ridiculous. So we have to do that. And when we talk about how we're going to beat that and how we're going to do that, Calvert-Lewin's going to have a good game. I think Calvert-Lewin will have to have a brilliant game. His role in this game is going to be massive because he's going to have a lot of long balls to deal with, a lot of long balls that he's going to have to try sort of hold up and bring others into play. That's going to be a massive job for him. And the work rate to do that, by the way, is so difficult. We saw Leeds United do this with Nemetro up front, against Newcastle. We're going to have a similar performance from Calvert-Lewin. I think Calvert-Lewin's the next level on Nemetro, and I think he can do that job better than Nemetro as well. But we're going to have to see a similar level of performance. But the output to do that on a workload is ridiculous. So what have you got to do to help that? When you're going long, you have to be accurate with your long balls. Don't get Calvert-Lewin sprinting from one line to sprinting to the other line. Keep him in the central area and make sure when you're going long that they are accurate balls into him. So I'm calling out Rodon, I'm calling out Bogle, I'm calling out Strauch, I'm calling out Darlow, I'm calling out Goodmanson. When we go long, we have to make sure that they're accurate to give us a chance of winning that first ball. Oh no, sorry, I genuinely thought today was Friday. I'm just referring to Captain Ampadu song, As He Will Break Your Legs. I see what you mean now. I see what you mean. But yeah, no, by the way, it does feel like a bit like, I agree with you actually, Anthony, it does feel about a Friday. But yeah, that is what we need to do. We've got to be, when we go along, we can't have Perri level kicking, which I'm, by the way, I know Perri's sort of missing this game, and that's something we'll get onto in terms of injury news as well. Perri was not going to be available for this game. I'm quite glad actually he's not available for this one, because when we've seen from Perri's kicking, he's not the greatest kicker in the world. And when we're going long into Calvert-Lewin, is Perri's kicking going to be as good as Darlow's? No. And we're going to need it to be good because that is the way to get through. And as I said, it's going to be a workload on Calvert-Lewin, but we've got to make sure when we go along that Calvert-Lewin holds the ball up as well, but we've got to get it into him and make it as easy as possible for Calvert-Lewin so he's not darting all over the pitch. And then also when the ball goes long into Calvert-Lewin, we've got to get people around him who are going to pick up that second ball, because that's something Bournemouth do so well. When you then do go long, which is obviously the way you play over their press, They get people in and around the centre-backs to pick up that second ball and they just recycle possession and they're straight back at you. And they don't mess around playing tiki-taka football like you'd see from a Chelsea team or a Pep team. They go straight at you with sort of vigorous power. That is the way they play. It's a bit like Bielsa in that setting. It's not sort of just pass it round straight away going forward. There'll be so many sort of every single first pass with Bournemouth is forward always. That's the way they like to play. They're not a dominant possession team at all. So as I said, to stop the wave of attacks that they will create, we have to make sure that we pick up them second balls in midfield. Longstaff, I think it's going to be a big game for him, and I would play him in this one for the sort of extra running that he can offer on a Tanaka. I think it's going to be a big game for Stack as well, because he needs to get in and around Calvert-Lewin when the ball goes long. And even with Okafor and Aronson on the wings, they've got to get in and around Calvert-Lewin to pick up them drop balls when they do drop down. It's so important for this particular fixture more than ever. Spot on, Scott. We have to get every ball right, because you'll get no time on the ball against these. And they thrive for us. Yeah, they do. That's their big thing. They are so good at winning the ball high up and going straight at your back four. I've been impressed by Darlow's distribution in the last 2 games. Oh, you've deleted it. But I also, for that bit, I have been interested in Darlow's distribution too. Darlow's distribution in the last 2 games, he has definitely stepped up. No, he has. I completely agree. Anthony Leeds, definitely. His distribution has been remarkable, I think, so far. And it's actually, for me, has gone a level up from what we saw from him in the Championship. I don't think I saw that level of kicking from the Championship, in my opinion. I thought he looked a bit shaky, actually, from his kicking. But actually, it wasn't so bad. Anyway, let's move on to injury news now. So, as we talked about, Perri's out for this game. Darlow will play in goal. I'm okay with that, like we talked about, because I think Darlow's a better distributor. And obviously, in this particular game, when DCL plays up front, when we're going long, we need someone who's got better kicking. Is Darlow our best keeper? That is a good question. I think right now, what you're asking is, if Perri's fit, does he play? I think Farke would probably go with Perri, in my opinion. I would stick with Darlow, though, because when he's doing so well, why would you take him out? Why would you do that? And then you see the same with Perri. Like, put him in the team. If Darlow's a bad game, put Perri back in the team. If Perri has a bad game, then you can put Darlow back in. But I think right now, you can't take him out. He's put on 2 stellar performances. You could argue he was man of the match in both games. I don't think he was, but I think he was. They were top level performances, top level Premier League performances from Darlow in the 2 games we've seen him. So he would never deserve to be took out anyway. But as I said, Perri is going to be out for the next 2 games anyway. So Darlow will be in goal for this and the Spurs game. Bogle obviously back fit's fantastic. He obviously hasn't missed a game now. He can just slot in at right back. That's going to be absolutely fine. Dan James did train yesterday, so he's going to be likely in the squad. This is a huge benefit for Leeds United. A huge benefit. I'll just talk a bit more about team selection, but having Dan James back is fit. Gnonto being out, I think, still a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. But yeah, let's now get on to let's get on to the 11. So on my sort of right hand side of the screen, as you can see there, this is the squad that I do think Daniel Farke will select this game. Not that I would. This is the one that Daniel Farke would select. So I think he'll go with Darlow in goal. I think that's obvious. Obviously, the only one that can play. He's going to start playing Melee, in my opinion. Although he did say he has 4 good goalkeepers. Bogle will start right back, I'm sure of it. He will definitely go Rodon and Struijk. He talked again today's press conference about the fact that Rodon and Struijk have been so good this season that Biel can't really get a chance. And he talks about Bournemouth now not being able to get a chance as well, so he'll definitely play. Goodmanson will obviously start at left back. Ampadu would start in the holding midfield role. I think we all agree on that. He's a level miles up from Gruev, and he's the captain. He's fantastic for us, and he's been brilliant this year. And then I would actually agree with Daniel Farke, and I would select Stack and Longstaff. I actually said for the Wolves game, I probably would have gone Tanaka, because I like the sort of creativity that sort of an AO Tanaka can give us. But for this particular game, I don't think the creativity is as necessary. When you're coming against such a physical team, you've got to pick your most physical players. And Longstaff's ability off the ball and his running and the amount of ground he can cover is perfect for against Bournemouth, a team, because we've got to try and max them physicality. We're not going to match them completely physically, but you've got to maximise them as much as possible, get as close to them in a physical setting, because if you lose the physical battle by a mile, you'll lose the game. So we've got to pick our players that are the most physical in there and can do the most running. So I think that is, for me, Stack. It is Longstaff and it is Ampadu. I would go with that midfield 3. And then up front, this is where the only change I would make to the Daniel Farke team. I would start Okafor on the left. I would start DCL up front. But I believe if Dan James is fit for this one, he should play on the right-hand side. Bournemouth play with a high line. That's the way they play. This is one of the reasons why I want to pick him. perfect for counter-attacks. And also, when people talk about sort of Aronson and what he's brilliant at, everyone always goes about off-the-ball work. They go about his pressing, and that is about it, really. And he's running, which is part of his pressing anyway. Dan James, this scenario that sort of Aronson's really good and Dan James is terrible at sort of pressing people is a nonsense to me. Dan James is a brilliant defensive winger. To the point where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he had him at Man United, said he's the best defensive winger in the world. Now, I'm not saying he is the best defensive winger in the world, but this is a guy who is known for being a really good defensive right winger. So this logic that we have to play Aronson because he's a good defender is nonsense to me. I don't think it is. I think James is near as good as Aronson off the ball, and I think he's much better on it. He actually offers a threat. The pacing behind is a threat, and it will always be a threat, and it will stop Truffel, their fullback, from pushing up as much when they know they've got the pacing behind to worry about with Daniel James. That is a threat. He also can beat a man, can Dan James. He can knock it down the line and run at someone and actually beat them. We saw Aronson at the weekend against Wolves. He got the ball, he looked inside to pass, and then he had to go down the line, and he just lost it, and everybody knew he was going to lose it because he can't take anybody on, and he's not a threat at all. Like, we base it in an attacking sense of nothing on the right-hand side, except someone who sort of occasionally picks the right pass, and that is about it. It's all what he offers off the ball. But as I said, I get that, and maybe Aronson is brilliant off the ball, but that would be saying that sort of that James is awful off the ball, which he isn't. Dan James is good off the ball. I don't know where this narrative has come from. Dan James is good off the ball. So if Dan James is fit, as Wilf Grant says there, James has not been fully fit at any point this season yet. If Dan James is fit for this one, for me, he should start the game. He should start the game because I think he offers more going forward, and I don't think he's horrendous defensively. Like when we talked last year in the Championship about who's our best winger in terms of a press. Everybody's saying Dan James. Everybody's saying Dan James. So I don't really get how this narrative's now been spun that Aronson's like just so superior. I don't really get it. I don't think he is. And as I said, I think James offers more going forward. And I think maybe for this one, obviously with James going back for it, Aronson might have to start. And if that's the case, fine. And if James, at least we've got him on the bench, that's an option off the bench. Because obviously when Okafor at some point comes off, and hopefully Aronson at some point comes off, you've got Harrison and James, two new fresh wingers to bring on, which we didn't have against Wolves. So that is a benefit. Hopefully James is fit. And if he's not fit, at least he's hopefully be fit for the Spurs game now, because it looks like he's coming back from this injury nice and quickly. So yeah, James, I think James should start on the right-hand side. That's my opinion, and that's my reason for it. He's really good at the minute, Jack. If Strout can keep out Bogle, then Darlow should be able to keep out Perri. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I think Strout has shown this season that he can step up to the Premier League. He's shown this season that it can perform well at this level. We know already that he's really good at playing out from the back. I don't think that skill set is going to be needed for this particular game. But actually on his defensive work, he's been so good that even though this is not a game for me where we're going to be playing through the lines or playing through the thirds, at least it shouldn't be anyway, I still would keep Strout because his defensive work's been so good as well, not just his ability on the ball. So yeah, Strout should play for me. And as you said, if Strout's getting in over sort of Bogle, a new signing, then if Darlow's playing well, he should get in over of Perri, of course. And I don't think Perri, when he's played, to be honest with you, I've seen him be that good so far. Personally, I know he's obviously kept clean sheets so far this season. I think has he got 2 clean sheets, or at least has he got 1 clean sheet this year? Anyway, no, he's got 2 clean sheets, hasn't he, against Newcastle and against Everton. So the clean sheets are there, but I think that's more a case of the defence doing a really good job as opposed to Perri Breen making all these wonderful saves. I don't think we've seen that from Perri. I don't think he's going to be an awful sign. I think we'll have to see with Perri, but I haven't been unbelievably impressed with him so far, to be honest with you. Mark says, evening, lads. Evening to you, Mark, too. So yeah, that would be my team. My team would be exactly the same as you can see there. I just would put Dan James, if he's fit, on the right hand side because I think he offers more personally. Anyway, let's move on to a few of the quotes that I picked up from the press conference, and then we'll talk a bit about sort of where I actually think this game's going to end up. Okafor's an interesting one for me. Okafor, there's been a lot made about Okafor. There was obviously Adam Pope said something today about Okafor being poor in the game against Wolves, and then it was brought up in the press conference today to Daniel Farke about sort of Okafor's off the ball work. And so, not off the ball work, on the ball work, and not losing the ball. Because obviously we know Okafor for the goal against Wolves did lose the ball. Obviously the Longstaff should have followed his man, but Okafor did lose the ball. And Farke's, and they got asked with Farke basically, is it okay that if you being a risk taker on the ball, that you are going to lose the ball at times? Is that okay to do, to lose the ball in certain situations? And Farke basically said, I don't accept Okafor losing the ball ever. That's what he said. I don't expect losing the ball ever. This worries me, because then he went on about Okafor. It's not acceptable that he lost the ball, and this wasn't good, and that wasn't good about his game. I'm slightly worried about this Okafor with Daniel Farke relationship. And maybe I'm wrong, but I am already starting to see, I don't think the risk taker that Okafor is, I don't think Daniel Farke likes that in a winger. I think we've seen this already, this example with Ramazani, who is a risk-taking winger, and he's shipped him off to Valencia, and he didn't use him last year. I don't think he likes someone who is a risk-taker, who's a bit of a maverick, who almost does their own thing at times, but will be willing to lose the ball to create a good chance. I don't think he likes that sort of player, Daniel Farke. And already I'm starting to see with Daniel Farke, I am starting to see that relationship not being, I don't know, I wouldn't be that surprised if in a few weeks Okafor's not in this team anymore. Like when Gnonto comes back on the left-hand side, I wouldn't be that surprised if Gnonto plays on the left and we go back to someone else on the right. I know that sounds mad, but I'm already seeing, not cracks in the relationship, but I'm already seeing what sort of Dan James brings. Not what Dan James brings, what Okafor brings and what sort of player he is. I'm already seeing a bit of a fracture with what Daniel Farke, I believe, will want. And as I said, we've seen this before with Ramazani. Remember Ramazani, by the way, when Solomon got injured, came in on the left-hand side last year, was really good and then got injured himself and then couldn't get back in the team. So he did have a moment when he was in the team. But I don't know. I just think the characteristics that Daniel Farke looks for in the winger, I'm slightly concerned that Okafor won't be that. And what's more concerned about this, more than just the Okafor situation, is that when I watch Leeds United at this moment in time, for me, our biggest wing threat by an absolute mile is Okafor. I don't think Aronson offers anything on the right. I don't think when we've seen Gnonto play, he's offered basically anything in a game, really. I know he was okay against Everton in the first half, but I don't think we've seen that next elevation of Gnonto. I don't think we've seen Dan James take this league that well either on the right-hand side. So I'm looking at our wingers' sort of choices right now, and I'm thinking, if Okafor doesn't play, I don't think we're creating many chances from out wide. And if Okafor then ends up getting taken out of the team, I would be worried about Leeds United scoring goals. So I'm hoping that Daniel Farke sticks with Okafor, which is what I would do. Because yes, I know he gives the ball up at times, and I think he can be stronger in moments. I think that's been a criticism that we've said on this channel before. I've seen other people say it online as well about sort of Okafor losing the ball in ways he shouldn't do, when he should get his body in the way. Because he's a big lad, he's 6 foot tall, he's strong, he looks powerful. He should be using his body better to protect the ball. But in the same breath, I still want him in the side because I think he's our biggest sort of chance of a goal from out wide and our biggest threat from the wing. So I'm hoping that this is not going to develop into something where Daniel Farke ends up dropping Okafor, and I hope this can be something that he keeps in the team. I do think for this one that Okafor will start for the record. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how that relationship develops, because I think he'll either get better at keeping possession or eventually he will be brought out of the team. But then on the flip side, I think obviously DCL, he seems to absolutely love DCL. He talked to his presser today about sort of how he's been done well with the youngsters like Harry Gray. And how his leadership's come across. He's obviously the most capped player in the Premier League for anyone in this Leeds United team, so that's a massive bonus for Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. And Farke obviously loves Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I think there's an understanding in the club from what Robbie Evans said in the summer that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is absolutely adored at Leeds United at this moment in time. So yeah, I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin will definitely be playing up front. Let's get into some of my guys' comments about score predictions. Leeds win 3-1 for me. Come on, that says Mark. We'll get on score predictions. Hart says 2-1 Leeds. Head says 1-1. Wolf Grant says Mark agreed 3-1. Okay. Any more predictions by the way, if you're watching live? I know there's a few of you in the chat. If you are watching, let's see what your scores are. What else do I want to talk about? Set pieces is what I want to talk about. Because obviously set pieces, this is probably more in terms of the sort of further on and maybe more for a news show. But I do want to bring this in because this is frustrating me, and I want to talk about it right now and get it in the bud. There's been a conversation in the press conference today about, and there's been a conversation in the space for a while now about Leeds United bringing in a set-piece coach. I think, obviously, this was mentioned in, what was it mentioned in? Someone remind me. It was mentioned in the YEP. Graham Smith did a report saying that Leeds United are going to look for a set-piece coach, which I completely supported. I thought it was the best decision to do. And now it's been found out that we haven't brought a set-piece coach in, and actually it's just Daniel Farke's assistant doing it, and they've promoted 2 people who were coaches to do it as well. I just don't like this. Just bring in a set-piece coach, for God's sake. Like, what are we doing? Why are we... Every single other club in the league is going there and picking set-piece coaches. They've seen the blueprint with Arsenal, with Jovic, is it, at Arsenal, who's got a mural now and has been fantastic for Arsenal set-pieces. Just go get one. Stop promoting from in-house. Go out and get the best set-piece coach, the best person for the job. This is like, by the way... People are not going to be as bothered by this, but this is like needing a right back and buying a right winger and going, oh, we'll just put him at right back. No, we need a right back. And in this situation, we need a set piece coach. Every club has them. Go get a set piece coach. And Daniel Farke's going, oh, but I don't want one because they get too giddy on the touchline and it's too much about them and it should be about the players. Don't care. I just care about Leeds United winning. I'm not bothered about who's celebrating, if I'm being totally honest. Go get a set-piece coach. Drop the act. Drop the sort of, we can do it all in-house. Go get a specialist who's doing it. And I know they've talked about last year that they sort of went to the council, not to the council, they went and found external companies to help them with the set pieces. This is all fantastic. We need to get external help for sure. But go get a recognised specialist set-piece coach who every single week can do a specialist drill on the training pitch with the team on how to get the best out of a set-piece for this individual fixture. And that's their only job at the football club. We need one. Why are we not going to do that? And we're not going to do one now, which is just stupid. It's honestly ridiculous. And what his reasoning was so stupid as well. Oh, we're not going to get one because... What was it? Because, oh, he's going to jump around on the touchline too much. Oh, just ridiculous. I don't want to get too negative about it, but like, what are we doing? Like, we're just handicapping ourselves for no reason. Everyone's got one. Just go get one. Anyway, Easy says Okafor will stay in the team because Farke can't afford to appear one-dimensional. Potentially, but we all want Okafor in the team, Easy, don't we, to be fair? Okafor will definitely be starting unless he's injured before the game. Yeah, he will start this one. It's more for a future reference, that. We have a great squad to be dominant on set pieces. Completely got Scott. It's a must to get a coach in. Exactly. We've spent all summer bringing in people to work on set pieces. We've brought in Bogle, we've brought in Stat, we've brought in DCL, we've brought in Nemecha, we've brought in Longstaff, who's good on corners. We've got a massive team. Set pieces are going to be so important to keep Leeds United up. We've talked about this. We've talked about the Everton blueprint where they scored not many goals, but they scored a lot of goals from set pieces. Go get a set piece coach, honestly. Narcis Perri was a brilliant set-piece coach under Corbrand at Huddersfield, currently available. There you are. There you are. Go get him. Just go get a set-piece coach. I just don't get why not. Why would you not get them as a help? As I said, it's like going, we need a new left winger. Well, we've got this right back. We'll just promote him and play him on the left wing. No, go get a specialist. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Easy says Scott is starting to get... Farke is starting to irritate you. I don't know if it's a Farke decision. It sounded like it was today. And if it is a Farke decision, it's stupid. But that is stupid. Just go get one. Honestly, ridiculous. Honestly, I just thought I'd bring it up today because it's it'll go under the cover otherwise. But that is just so stupid. Everyone's got one, and we don't need one. We don't need one. Let's play with another keeper as well because they might celebrate when we score. So let's sack the keeper off. We'll play another. We've got a right back in the reserves. We'll put him in goal because we don't need one. You know. They scored the most from set pieces that season when they finished in the playoffs. There you are. Go get Narcis Pelic or whatever he's called. Is he the lad that, by the way, that managed Stoke? That name rings a bell. And he wasn't particularly good at managing Stoke, but that's not his skill set. His job is being a set piece coach. Let's have a look. What else have I put down in my predictions? That's it. Predictions. That's where we're going to sort of wrap up the video. What do I think is going to happen in this game? What is my honest prediction? Bang, bang, bang. Don't forget Scott will call if you were in goal. I know there was shouts when Melier had to play in goal that I should be playing in goal instead. Yeah, he was at Stoke. Not a good coach by any means, but just a good set piece. Exactly, yeah. What do I think is going to happen though in this particular encounter for Leeds United? I think my overall prediction, when I've looked at everything underlined today, the first goal in this game is absolutely massive. It's the most important of first goals meant in any game we've had this season, in my opinion, completely. The first goal is so important. If we go 1-0 down to Bournemouth at the weekend, I'd be very worried. They are fantastic defence. They've kept the second most clean sheets in the league. I think the third most for XG, third lowest for XG concede as well. They do not concede many goals. And with our sort of lack of attacking prowess, I think we've got in this side. I know we scored 3 against Wolves, but I think as a sort of you look at the whole picture and the players that we've got available and what we've done in previous games before the weekend, we do struggle to score goals. I think that's understandable, and we don't create many. If we go 1-0 down, I'll be seriously worried. However, on the flip side, if Leeds United go 1-0 up, I think if we manage the game that I've seen from Leeds United and we get the ball up to DCL and we start winning fouls and we frustrate Bournemouth, I think we can get a positive result today. I think we can get a positive result on Saturday. I really do. So I am going to be optimistic because, you know, what is the point in saying Leeds United are going to lose the game, mate? I am going to go with the Leeds United win. Every week. It's every week. Anyway, I am going to go with the Leeds United win. I'm going to go 1-0 to Leeds. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as it was against Wolves. I think that both defences are better. My feeling is that if we get the first goal, hopefully from a set piece or wherever it's from, it could come off, I don't know, Bogle's arm. I don't really care. I mean, I do care it's his arm because he probably ruled out you thicko. Anyway, but yeah, as long as it's not, as an illegal goal, we'll take any goal. But if we go 1-0 up, I think we can manage the game and I think we can see it out. I do think we can do that. I've seen them struggle when they've gone 1-0 down last year, like Leicester away, when it was Steve Cooper in charge and they basically went into a block and just stopped them. I think we can do similar. So I'm going to go with the Leeds United 1-0 win. That's my feeling. I rate the squad, but I can't predict results because I think Farke is scared of losing. I can't predict results because I'm scared of. But you can go with the Leeds United loss, PSF. Potentially, if you're scared that we're going to lose, you could go with loss. Semenyo worries me, but hope you're right about a clean sheet. Semenyo does worry me because Semenyo, if we're being totally honest, bias aside, probably been one of the better players in the whole division this year. Top player, Semenyo, of course. And to be honest, I'm surprised he's still there. I think the only reason he's still at Bournemouth is because basically they've already sold all the defence. They didn't need any more dough this summer. I think otherwise he'd have been gone. But yeah, anyway, I will wrap it up there. If you are watching live and you've got to this point, or if you're not watching live as well, get your comments in below afterwards for sure. I don't respond to comments live, but I also respond to comments if you do comment below. And also, if you got to this point, hopefully you've enjoyed the show. If you could drop a like, subscribe as well, that would be absolutely fantastic. Because apparently there's this thing going on with YouTube. I know people have mentioned it all over the gaff, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But please, yeah, a like and a subscription would mean the world. So if you could do that, that would be brilliant. But yeah, we'll see you on tomorrow for, again, an 8 PM stream. It's going to be back to the news show. But I have got something interesting that I want to do. I want to talk about how Leeds United can move forward in this new style. What's the next step for Leeds United if they do stay up this year? What next positions would you go for? Who's probably going to be the victims of our success going forward as well? I think it's going to be a good show. And we'll also talk about the news as well tomorrow. So yeah, quite a bit to get into. I'm looking forward to sort of tomorrow's stream already. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this preview and I will see you all later, everybody. Bye for now, everybody. Bye for now.